Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Tuesday, September 17th at 11 p.m. Mountain Time, 2019. You're looking at Hurricane Humberto, which is going to just rafe the northern coast of Bermuda in the next 24 hours with gusts up to 115 miles per hour. Not only that, we have a triple threat tropical depression, Imelda, lining up to dump up to 20 inches of rain south of Houston, and tropical depression 10 will become Hurricane Jerry in the next 3 days. Mark my words. Not only that, we have footage of a volcanic eruption at Sakurajima yesterday, which is spectacular, which we will share with you now. But this eruption pales in comparison to what happened just 3 hours ago while I was making the video. Stay tuned. We'll show you that footage in a moment. Keep calm. It's boom time. Yes. Robust cold front turns Tahoe Basin into a snow globe. Thanks, Matt. We're doing a podcast. The first snow of the season fell Monday in alpine meadows with 6 days of summer still left. A storm swept northern Sierras on Monday, dusting the mountain range with snow. The National Weather Service had the audacity to call the cold front robust in a global warming world. This is amazing. A robust cold front in the summer produces snow. Storms to bring summer snow to parts of Colorado. Yes, it will. We've been predicting this for weeks, and now the mainstream is picking up on it. Colorado's highest peaks received a fresh dusting of powder earlier last week, as we reported and predicted on September 11th and 12th, and there's likely more on the way. Yeah, you think? We're heading to fall and winter. It's going to continue to snow from now forward. Thank you, Brenna. Nobody. I love these people reporting on that's so fucking obvious. Now, what is not so obvious is the amount of snow falling on those 3 provinces in Canada that we have never seen before on the GFS model. Take a look. We're talking Alberta, Saskatchewan, and British Columbia, all getting pummeled, with predicted 12 to 14 inches. They don't even use inches up there. That's going to be like hundreds of centimeters. Their minds are going to be blown. Not only that, we have snow coming, showing up here in the GFS model in the central Sierras, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. Are you picking it up? We just put it down. National Park snow samples show improved air quality. So if you're in the green movement and you're a climate alarmist and you're a fearmonger, here are some facts. Air pollution is at all-time lows and has been declining since 1990 in epic fashion. Look at the data. Declining national air pollution concentrate averages. And that's tonight's first boom. We're not dying, we're not burning up. The air is getting cleaner and the plants are getting fed. Those are facts. More facts. Atlantic tropical cyclones and disturbances, number 3 at the peak of hurricane season, which is expected. Imelda making landfall, almost appearing overnight, which it didn't. We've known about this for days. But it's just a tropical depression and it will bring rain. The most rain since Harvey, which means there could be some sustained flash flooding. Humberto is going to move over here towards this little rock in the middle of the Atlantic called Bermuda, and it's going to wreak havoc. And Tropical Depression 10, it is my prediction, will become Hurricane Jerry by the Dominican Republic. And when it reaches there, we will predict where it will hit. It's anyone's guess where it's going now. Tropical Depression Imelda could dump the heaviest rainfall Houston has seen from one storm since Harvey. And this guy wore his tightest suit to tell you about it.
You what is happening across the country right now, with big time heat still the main story across large areas of the United States. But notice there is a tropical system lined up just off the coast of Texas there, and a very persistent system here that'll line up in place at least the next several days. And unfortunately, it'll pump in a tremendous amount of Gulf moisture. In fact, the model suggests as much as 5 to 10 inches widespread.
Holy mackerel!
Potentially just north of Houston, getting in on 15 or more inches of rainfall within the next week. So you take a look at that and you know some big time rainfall in store across the region. And of course, it has already been extremely hot around portions of the south as well. Some temps running some 5 to 10 degrees above average, while around the upper Midwest we're seeing near record territory numbers, about 10 to 20 degrees above average. In fact, look at Minneapolis, should be closer to room.
Okay, we had to shut that guy up because he's not warning anybody about the greatest flash flood risks over the next 3 days. He's telling you it's going to be 5 degrees warmer than normal. You don't have to prepare for that. That'll be fine. That means you don't have to turn on your heater. But if there's flash flood warnings, you think you want to tell the public about that? Man, these guys, I don't even know why they get paid. Tropical storm Imelda, 1 to 3 excessive rainfall outlook. If you're in the red zone, I hope you're packing. Now let's talk about Tropical Depression 10, which will strengthen in the central Atlantic, forecast to become Hurricane Jenny just moments ago. Tropical Depression 10 will increase to hurricane strength over the coming days. I think about 10 days ago we predicted that. But anyway, I digress. The Tropical Depression 10 formed Tuesday in the Atlantic Ocean, predicted to become a tropical storm Tuesday night, then a hurricane late this week. The system is likely to approach the northern Leeward Islands. It's too early to determine if it will eventually affect Bermuda or the mainland U.S. Yeah, we'll know about that in 3 days. But this baby is going to be a hurricane, and its name is Jerry Lewis. Humberto is headed towards Bermuda. Here is the cone of depression, and you should be depressed. From the Storm Center, the cone is tight, which means that the models are all in concurrence. It's going to come somewhere right near there, like swimwear. Here's the windy model, and we'll just run it through. From your Wednesday morning, here's the position of the storm, which is coming in at Cat 3. But it will increase in strength, and let's just run it. This is a fast mover. So by Wednesday, late afternoon, we're talking storms hitting Hamilton around 85 miles per hour in the gust range. Sustained winds at 60. And this baby's going to quickly pass by. So what you could see in Bermuda are winds of up to 80, is my prediction, miles per hour, and a fast-moving storm. So it's just going to come in and out. It's going to be like boom time, and it's going to go away. Seismic update, no quakes of note. We had a 5.1 just kick off in Russia, south of the Kamchatka. We have some major activity in the mid-ocean ridges, as to be predicted in a growing world, while geomagnetic activity pouring into our equator, into our poles, is causing the planet to react at the mantle, create matter, and swell. So that's what's happening there. Now, let's come over to spaceweathernews.com, Ben Davidson's site. And you can see on the Discover Solar Wind, let's open this image to get you in there, like swimwear. The phi angle has now shifted to that dangerous 180 zone and is coming up. So we're going to be watching for seismic activity to increase over the next 24 hours and a major quake possible. Not only that, we have density on the rise, but the speed is decreasing. So we should see another spike up in that plasma speed, which is causing this geomagnetic instability at KP4 again and again. So we should see another KP4 coming off of the next spike here. And we're going to watch this closely. Now, someone posted in our last video that KP has nothing to do with geomagnetic storms. Well, it's unfortunate that I have to report to you that the KP index is the only index that determines geomagnetic activity. Therefore, it's the only index that determines geomagnetic storms. So if you're just new to the game, we're going to give you a pass on this one, and you're 100% wrong. The KP index could be called the geomagnetic storm index. KP 1 through 3 is geomagnetic quiet or quiescence. KP 4 would be geomagnetic instability, and from 4 to 6 is geomagnetic storm. 6 to 8 is extreme storm, and 8 to 10 is boom time, kids. That's grid down. So if you see red lines up here above 8 into the 9, and you wonder why YouTube doesn't work, and that's because it's over, Johnny. That's how it works. If you see KP at 8, go to the store and buy everything. Worldwide Volcano News Update. Sakurajima exploding live, and I promised you the live footage from 3 hours ago, and I will not. Well, it's dab time. So I'm going to pack my dab stick, and you should too. And I can't do this live. But for the next 1 minute and 34 seconds, pretend there is music playing, because this is just what happened on Earth 3 hours ago. Let's do this. Boom! There's another pulse. Take a look. This is dab worthy. This is amazing. This expression of this volcanic eruption is amazing. And it's been ongoing, and it lasted almost, God, I can't even say. Let's come over here and get some better footage from wide out, shall we? Now, this is the wide out footage, and it gives you a little bit better idea of the height of the plume. And this is from the live stream that's been running now for 4 hours, which is hours of powers. And let's just play it through for you. So you're going to see this plume quickly reaching, I'm going to say 10, 15,000 feet. But what you want to be, watch what I can do here. Oh my God, this is amazing. I'm just delving into this. What you want to do here is just to see me right in the middle. All right. You can see up here in the top right box here the amount of stratospheric, the atmospheric CO2, sulfur dioxide, and other particulates here. Just in this small plume here that's blasting out right now is larger than all the Amazon rainforest fires over the last 7 years. And now here in this vertical column that is connected to my body, which if I could just adjust this here, like I'm actually part of the volcanic eruption now, coming straight up into my brain. What you can see here in the vertical plume is, well, let's just fast forward this into more epic amounts of
earthquake occurred in 004 km and 18 DEG of Sultan by PHIVOLCS.
Holy macaroni. And you can see the vertical column and the continual ash plume continuing to pour out. And here is all of the Arctic fires within a few seconds here. All of the North American fires over here in this puff. And then if you pass it and you go up to the upper section, it's all the fires that the media... Anyway, I do digress. It's crazy. It's crazy, and many scientists that are in the top field are getting lazy. Michael Mann specifically, where this guy can't even respond to legitimate scientists querying him about the facts and about the data sets that we have. He doesn't want to hear about it. He says we're bots, we're Russian trolls, and we're all computer generated. Yeah, none of us have degrees. I guarantee that I have the same shit degrees that he has because he just paid money to some university in Pennsylvania and they gave it to him. And now he sat around and sucked their teeth so long that he became tenured. And now they can't even fuck with him, even though he's a prick. They totally want to fuck with him. It took 30 years to take Joe Paterno down because he was a football coach. And yet he continued to allow people to rape children and other shit. So it's not going to be 30 years before they even recognize Oppenheimer Ranch Project has any scientific integrity. Tony Heller, Tim Ball was a hero. That will never happen in your future. You have to be objective. You have to pick your winners. You have to choose your sources. And as this secondary cloud erupts into the upper atmosphere in a double lobe, the lower one now eclipsing all of the Amazon rainforest again for the third time in the last 5 minutes, you can start to pick up what we put down. There are certain things you should be fearful of. Global warming is not one of them. Sea level rise, not another. Food scarcity, market collapse, the darkening of the skies. Yeah, these are things you should be worried about. Explosion rock Soviet-era laboratory housing smallpox and Ebola samples. Well, what could go wrong there? A gas explosion shook a Soviet-era biological weapons lab in Siberia that houses samples of Ebola and smallpox, which are now airborne and traveling to you in weather. Today's watershed repocalypse. It's a repocalypse. It's one of the worst things that could happen. And this is, we're talking about the markets. The ongoing repo rate has gone jiggy. It's gone so jiggy that it's almost matching the financial crisis back in 2006 and 7. It vertically rose almost into that range today. And the bottom line is that the market thinks the Fed's temporary solution is a fucking joke. So are you buying crypto? Do you have a few thousand in silver? Because that could be $1 million. $3,000 in silver could be worth $1 million in a year. I'm not even making that up. If you have 3 Bitcoin, you could be a millionaire. If you have 100 Litecoin, you're there too. I think I have all of that. Meet the nuclear-powered self-driving drone NASA is sending to a moon of Saturn. Well, this used to be our sun, Atum Ra, Saturn. And what better place to go than a moon? I bet you we find archaeological evidence that's suppressed and other shit that they slip up and leave out of the scrubbing of the visuals because they don't even know how to process their own data. That's how funding deficit they are. But the nuclear-powered self-driving drone looks like an insect, doesn't it? We now know what smashed into Jupiter last month. And in fact, it was a tiny asteroid. Yeah. With the density consistent with meteors that are equal parts stone and iron. It was just a rocky meteorite. The meteor exploded in Jupiter's upper atmosphere 80 kilometers above the cloud tops. Similar to every other object that enters Earth's atmosphere, and a plasma discharge laser beams them and explodes them above the surface. Just like Chelyabinsk and the Tunguska event, all the same. Now this object that exploded over Jupiter's atmosphere was around 80 kilometers above the cloud tops and released energy equivalent to 240 kilotons of TNT, just over half the energy of the 440 kiloton plasma discharge explosion over Chelyabinsk in 2013. So it's just a little minor perturbation. And the results have been presented at the EPSD-DPS joint meeting, where I'd be at a joint meeting, trust me. I'd bring the joints. And if you want the paper, I just right-clicked on it, and it popped up in the next page. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I can't help you. But here it is, the aims and the scope and the... Anyway. EPMD. Great rap band. Scientists discover one of the world's oldest bird species at Waiapara. And I didn't even say that right. But that's in New Zealand. And this bird is not alive. It's a fucking fossil. The ancestors of some of the largest birds ever. Has been found in Waiapara, North Canterbury. Bony toothed birds. Now come up with the picture here and I'll blow it up. And we'll look at the bony teeth, which are not teeth at all. They're just asymmetrical protuberances from the bony matter of the beak, which you can see here, more like saw teeth, which would be used for gnawing apart the flesh of small rodents. Ugh. That's my humble opinion. Anyway. Pelican North, an ancient family of huge seafaring birds related to seagulls, were thought to have evolved in the northern hemisphere, but they just found them in the southern hemisphere, which means that they're completely wrong. Once again. Can you believe that? We're completely wrong. Rare 10 million year old fossil unearths new view of human evolution. Can you believe that? We're completely wrong. I'm not even going to talk about it because it's a fucking ape. I don't know. And last time I checked, I'm not an ape. I'm a human. Geochemists measure new composition of Earth's mantle. Now, back in the 90s, we knew that Earth's mantle was eclogite, the rock type that made the Earth's mantle, which consisted predominantly of olivine, a greenish, amazing mineral with a hardness of 8, which is like ruby. It's just under diamond a little bit, just under me. But according to new studies, researchers suspect greater dynamics than previously assumed between the Earth's surface and its mantle. You mean it's not just all one rock for 1,000 miles? Oh my God. We knew that to begin with, because when you get mantle material or eclogites or any other considered island arc formation or deep metamorphic rock like this, they're all different. There's no similarity. So how can it all be the same? Which is what we say as geologists. Just like we don't include plasma discharge as a scarring feature or a geomorphic feature in our toolbox. Let me just break this down. Everything that geologists know, I'm going to say just under 50% is true. Like geomorphology, we know about sedimentation and stream flow and all that other simple dumb shit. But the major landform processes, plate tectonics and all that other bullshit, unknown. Like we just realized that cosmic rays cause silicious rich magma volcanoes to get jiggy and blow up on solar minimums. So it's a cosmogenic effect. It's not an earthly effect. It's not a closed system. We're in a cosmodynamic system. Yeah, I just coined that term. You love it? Let's patent it. Now, researchers conclude that over Earth's history, a large amount of Earth's mantle has melted and ultimately formed the crust. Yeah, that's what happens. So if you want to know more about the paper and less about what we know, read the paper, because we don't know shit. I'm going to leave you with this fine fact. Someone sent me this article the other day. It said that we had a new species we found on the planet, and they wondered if it was because of cosmic rays. And I was like, look, cosmic rays have increased 15% in your lifetime. We're looking for a spike of cosmic rays to exceed, let's say, 3,000% for evolution to occur. The brass facts, and CO2 should not be taxed, is that as a paleontologist, this is one thing that I know. We know less than 15% of all living species on the earth. Now, did you hear me? We know less than 15% of the species currently alive on the planet. And yet, there are people that are claiming that insects are dying off in record numbers. This claim couldn't be further from the truth, because if 15% of the known insects were dying off, if half of them were dying, that means that 80% could still be alive, which means it's total bullshit. Do not glom on to the propaganda pieces that the media is putting out and put them on your YouTube channel without any prior knowledge, because you're going to look like a fucking schmuck in the future, especially if people are smart, they have integrity, and they know what you said in the past. Do not repeat like a puppet articles from mainstream media sources that you think will get you more views if you don't have the integrity to research the topic. There is no insect apocalypse. We only know about 15% of the insect species. So how could we claim we know there's an apocalypse? Oh, 15% of the species are dying off at 5% rates of 5%. That means nothing. We know less than 15% of the mammals on the planet. Which is why Bigfoot is real and Chupacabra and all the other crazy shit you've ever heard of. Because we don't know. We know less than 5% of the species in the ocean. It's disgusting. Disinformation is everywhere. We're like retarded mammals that claim we're smart. Thank you to all of our one-time donors. All of you realists that want to keep it real. If you want to keep it real, subscribe to the channel, do a dab, and share this with like-minded people. They may be sheeple, but at some point, there will be this loud popping noise, and it'll be like, and they'll be like, oh my God, do you know what that was? That was the sound of my head coming out of my ass.